Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 6 of Jawing About the G-Men, the Giants football podcast. I'm Jace Garcia. I'm joined with Sean Scanlon, Joe Aguirre. Like always, let's get down into it. The Giants had a very disappointing week. I mentioned it last week. There was a lot of false hope. The Giants played the Bucs, got a win. Then the terrible Redskins made the Giants look really, really good. Everyone had hope. All three of us picked the Giants to pull out the win against the Vikings. But Kirk Cousins just threw all over the place. Finally decided to start using Adam Thielen. And then Dalvin Cook was just a beast. The defense looked so bad, and then on top of that, the Giants got injuries, and Wayne Gallman got hurt. It was just a big mess, and all that hope just got flushed down the drain.
Yeah, definitely a lot of missed opportunities. Daniel Jones with that playing the first quarter, we had Sterling Shepard wide open down the sideline, and he just misses him by a yard or two, which could have easily been a touchdown. And then Daniel Jones, the throw to the back of the end zone to Sterling Shepard later in the game in the second half, threw just a little bit too high. Shepard ended up coming down with it, but didn't get his feet down. So just missed opportunities like that against a great defense like the Vikings, who showed up all game. When you get those opportunities, those two plays, you got to capitalize. You got to punch it in and score. And then just from the defense, 16 missed tackles from the defense this week, which was by far the most in the NFL. Just stuff like that. I understand that we're undermanned with a lot of our linebackers were out injured, but you got to be able to wrap up, tackle, bring them to the ground. I understand Dalvin Cook's one of the most elusive backs in the NFL, but still, if you're playing defense in the NFL, you have to be able to tackle. So yeah, just a lot of missed opportunities, stuff that we didn't capitalize on. Golden Tate, we didn't see a lot of him. He only had 3 catches for 13 yards. He only ended up playing in 67% of the offensive snaps. So I think that just has to do with just trying to ease him back in the offense his first week back. But I definitely expect to see a lot more of him tomorrow going against the Patriots.
We've been talking about this since before the season started, how tough it was to figure out what this Giants team was going to be. And as you mentioned right off the top, we all sort of believed, plus Kirk Cousins, maybe. And you know, you bring up a good point. Obviously, you know, Barkley, you lose Gallman, Shepard. You know, this team's kind of beat up going into the Patriots game. Things are looking even more bleak with obviously Evan Ingram also out. The offense never really got in sync there. You know, Wayne Gallman obviously came off a pretty good game. You know, whether that would have been a difference maker had he not got knocked out of the game, who knows? Giants obviously have some problems at depth at running back. They really should do something about it, because John Hilliman is not an NFL running back at all. And, you know, the defense, disappointing. You know, they had been playing really well going into the game against the Vikings. You hate this is what I don't like to see is the 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And unfortunately, I think the Giants are now looking at a 2 step forward, now 2 step back, because we'll get into this, I'm sure, in a minute, but I think the Giants have virtually no chance to not be embarrassed by the Patriots. I don't think there's a possibility. This isn't going to be a 17-14 game. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I feel like the Giants aren't I think there's 3 tiers of teams in the NFL. There are the Patriots, the Packers, the elites. Then there's the teams in the middle, and then there's the god-awful teams at the bottom. The Bengals, the Dolphins, the Redskins. You know, I think the Giants are somewhere towards the lower bottom of that second tier. I think anytime the Giants are going to face a top-tier team, it's going to be a long afternoon. I think when you get into that middle and bottom, I think the Giants could win some games, which again is why, you know, this seems very much like the 6-10 kind of season, if that.
Well, looking forward to the Patriots game. the Giants always know how to play the Patriots. I feel like it's always a close game. The Super Bowls, obviously, the Giants came out on top. I mean, I'd be I need to mention those, especially going up against the Patriots. But, I mean,
if Landon Collins holds on to that interception in 2015, we beat them in 2015, and Eli goes to 4-1 against Tom Brady. So I mean, there's definitely some history there. And in 2015, we had the worst defense in the league. So
I saw somebody float a really stupid idea, but one I feel isn't stupid enough to share on this show. Somebody suggested starting Eli Manning in this game. With the idea, they said, of maybe he can recapture the magic. And then secondly, so Daniel Jones doesn't get destroyed back there. Because I think this could be not that that's even a realistic possibility, obviously, but
no.
My concern about Daniel Jones this week against, look, Bill Belichick's had a chance to see this kid now a few times. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure already Bill Belichick knows, what it takes to mess up a Daniel Jones. And I'm pretty sure you're going to see that. I think the Giants will have a bad showing. You're right when you say they always play the Patriots well. I don't think so. I love Daniel Jones, but I think Belichick is too good on short rest with all your weapons out. It's going to be bad.
I mean, the Patriots themselves, like the Giants have a bunch of injury problems. Patriots do as well. Philip Dorsett out. Rex Burkhead, Josh Gordon, Julian Edelman, and Patrick Chung all listed as questionable. So we'll see if they'll play. But
will Tom Brady be there?
Yes.
How about Bill Belichick?
Yes.
Okay, check and check. That's a problem.
Yeah.
The big thing with the Pats, though, this season, the one thing that's been surprising and why they've been doing so well is their defense. And that's really what has carried them to 5-0 right now. And I think the Giants' the Giants' offense is a lot better than the defense. That's the best product they're putting out on the field. And Daniel Jones, I think he might be able to do some magic and get something done. I'm not the way the Giants always play the Patriots. I'm not gonna say that it's gonna be a blowout. I think it's gonna be close no matter what. Whatever the spread is, I think the Giants will cover.
Sean, talk some sense into him, please. What is he talking about? He almost sounds like he's saying they might have a chance to win the game, if I'm hearing that right.
Yeah, I think it's just being a little nostalgic, looking back to those 2012 and 2008 Super Bowl runs. But I agree, they have played very well against them in the past, but I think that ends here. We're just too banged up, and as you had mentioned, I think that Belichick will start to, after 3 weeks of tape on Daniel Jones, start to get some tendencies and see what he likes to do. And you could see that this week with a great Vikings defense. They brought the pressure, and it was effective all game. So I think that although they haven't given up a passing touchdown this season yet, the Patriots defense, I think that changes this week. I think that Daniel Jones will be able to produce maybe 1 or 2 passing touchdowns, just because I expect them to be catching up late in the game. But I don't see much hope for this game. I think that it's a short week. A lot of players are banged up, and that you're going against probably the best team in the NFL into their place. I just don't expect much. I think Darius Slayton will probably step up, have a bigger game. He looks to be Daniel Jones' favorite target right now, especially with Shepard and Ingram out. I expect him to have a decent game. We'll see if Stephon Gilmore is locked up on him. That'll be a tough matchup. And then this defense, the pass rush has looked better, and the Pats O-line isn't the best in the league in pass protection, so I'd like to see them get after the quarterback. Marcus Golden with 4.5 sacks through 5 games. He's been a big part of this defense so far. Definitely a big acquisition in the offseason, and I think that Dexter Lawrence has shown that he could be a 3-down lineman for all 3 downs. He's shown a little bit of a pass rush, and why we selected him at the 17th spot. So I think that it will be a blowout, unfortunately, but I think it will be good to get the younger guys some reps and in a game against one of the better teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I think that's your best case scenario. I believe the Patriots will score more than 30, and I believe the Giants will finish in the single digits. Yeah, I know. I've believed a lot. You guys convinced me last week that maybe these Giants had a chance. And I don't know. I can't. I mean, you're talking crazy, Jace, and that's usually my job. That's what I do on this show. I think there's a lot to like. I think it'll be. Look, I think it's a good test for the Giants to go up against the best, because I think it helps them to sort of figure out where they are and what improvements need to be made. And sometimes you can learn a lot from a loss. And I think with the offense riding high and knowing what Belichick's got in store for them, I think it could be just the right thing to take Danny Dimes down a notch, and then maybe he could really build off of that. That's my hope. But no, I don't think the Giants, I don't think they have a prayer this week. I think it'll be a blowout by halftime, and then it'll be a lot of garbage minutes. You might get your touchdown to Slayton somewhere late third quarter. But I think it's going to be, I just can't see this happening anyway. The Patriots, to me, just look outstanding right now. Well, I mentioned the top tier teams. I should mention the San Francisco 49ers, too. I know people don't want to believe in that team.
Yeah. They can get after the quarterback, though. Sure.
For
real.
Richard Sherman was like, you know what? If you didn't believe in us, don't believe in us now. And Richard, I don't. But I will acknowledge that they are 5-0. I just think, again, for the Giants, all I've ever wanted out of this season was to feel like week to week that they're improving, that they're getting things down, and obviously when you're besieged by injuries, not everybody's the Yankees. Not everybody can overcome. You're talking about some of your best guys right now are out for this game. Most of Daniel Jones' main weapons and even their backups are out of this game. This is too tall a task.
All right, you're saying I'm talking crazy, which is definitely true. But this craziness has led to me being our total pick leader.
Yeah.
49.
You're not wrong.
You're talking about 49ers. You both picked the Browns last week. I was the one picked the Niners.
May I say why? I did it because Odell Beckham scored 4 points the week before in fantasy, and I thought, well, he's due. He's due for a monster game. Jeez. And he scored 5 points this week. I hate Odell Beckham now. He used to be my favorite player. That's the first jersey I bought for my son. Now I want to burn it.
So last week, as far as picks went, I was 9-6. Joe 1 game behind, 8-7. Sean 7-8. Very, very close. Total, I'm 49, 28-1. Joe's 46, 31-1. Sean 41, 36-1. You make some ground, getting back. Still a lot of football left.
You're over 500. That's something to be proud of.
A lot of football left, like you said. I'm more of a second half team. So
great, because I'm a first half guy.
All right, let's talk about the big game tomorrow night. We spoke about it. I'm taking the Giants. I said this weeks ago. I said, even when the Giants go to the Patriots, I'm picking the Giants. I pick with my heart, not my head. And it's worked out. So I'm going the Giants here.
If you would have picked against the Giants every week, you would be like 55-20. You'd be like the Swami dude.
Hey, we're not complaining. That's better.
Yeah, I know. It's what's keeping us around.
Yeah, I love the enthusiasm, Jace. I love that you're behind this team as well as I am, but I just, like you said, Joe, too tall of a task this week. I expect the Patriots to win this one easily at home.
I will do the show next week naked if the Giants win. We can bleep it out or whatever, but I'll sit here naked if the Giants pull out the upset. There's no way. There just is no way. I'd love it to happen. A nice 17-14 last second would be great, but it can't happen when the Patriots score 42. You know what I mean?
All right, we'll see. All right, then for the Sunday games, Panthers at Bucks. This one's a tough one. I mean, the Bucks have that explosive offense when Jameis Winston decides he wants to throw to Mike Evans. Didn't even get a target last week. So it's tough, and the Panthers have looked really good with Allen at the helm. I'm going the Panthers. They are the 5th best fantasy-wise defense as well. So I think defense will get it done, and the Panthers get it done on the road.
Yeah, their defense has been playing good. They haven't lost yet with Kyle Allen at the helm. He's been able to ride him on to undefeated record so far with him. So I think that, and I don't see the Bucks beating the Panthers twice in the matter of a couple weeks. They just beat them a couple weeks ago on Thursday Night Football. So I don't see that carrying over. I think that the Panthers win this London matchup.
I just got to respond to a Facebook message. I said 6-10 Giants, like best case scenario. I'm not drunk. 4-12 is what I've been saying all along. 5-11 best case scenario, just so everybody's clear.
It'll be better than that.
And I can be naked. We'll just bleep it. That's all. I don't know why people don't think I could do it. I'd be happy to.
I don't want to hold you to that, though.
You don't have to hold me to it. And also, just so you know, I believe in Jameis Winston. I don't know why. I don't know why. He's a liar, so he's not someone you should believe normally. But I just feel like this Allen kid has good games. I don't know if he's really, is he winning games? Doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
So I feel like Jameis Winston, maybe he'll even throw a pass or two to O.J. Howard. That'd be great. It's not my fantasy team.
Maybe.
Not getting any kind of targets either. I feel good about the Bucs this week. It's a home game. They have to win some games. I think this is going to be one of those games.
Okay.
It's a London game. 9:30 a.m.
Oh, even better. Yeah, that's right. The London game.
All right.
Yep.
Then the Seahawks go to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Baker Mayfield, everyone's talking smack about him. He is not doing well. He is not doing good. He, to me, is another coming of Johnny Manziel. He's just isn't living up to the hype. And I understand that his offensive line isn't that good, and he is having to scramble, and he's getting pressure at him, but still, dude, you have so many weapons. You got to make something work. And, the Seahawks, tough defense. I expect Jadeveon Clowney to be in Baker Mayfield's face all day. Seahawks get it done on the road.
So last week we had mentioned that the 49ers front was going to be a lot to handle for that Browns offensive line, who's been struggling a lot so far. And I think that will continue this week against the Seahawks with Jadeveon Clowney, like you mentioned, and Ziggy Ansah, a couple good pass rushers. But like I said about the Texans a couple weeks ago, I feel like they're just going win-loss every week, and that's actually the way it has worked out for the Browns to start the season. So right now at 2-3, that will go to a win this week, and I expect them to win at home against the Seahawks in a tight one down the stretch.
Wow. All right.
Russell Wilson is playing at an MVP level right now.
Yes, he is.
I sat him this week for Kyler Murray, and that was stupid. I'm just going to say it. It was a stupid thing to do. I had a feeling, and I was wrong. However, I just picked up Jarvis Landry in a trade this week in my fantasy league to go along with Odell Beckham. So as you can imagine, I will expect an even worse game from Baker Mayfield. No catches to either of those guys as the Seahawks pounce all over the Browns. Yeah, the Browns stink.
Yeah,
I think Baker Mayfield's in big trouble there, and I think this season's going just as I thought it was going to go for the Browns, where it's going to be like a 6-10er and no playoffs, and everyone hates Baker again.
Yeah.
I've never liked Baker.
I know. I just mean everybody, because
Yeah.
there are some that like him now. I think we can all
Yeah.
get back to where we used to be, where no one liked Baker.
Yeah, and I mean, especially them taking Myles Garrett going out definitely hurts them
Yeah.
even more. Then we got the Texans at the Chiefs. Chiefs, tough loss to the Colts last week in prime time. No one was expecting that to happen. They're going to bounce back, and they're going to beat the Texans at home.
I think this will be a very high-scoring game. Two of the best offenses in the NFL. So I think it has a chance for both teams to be in the 40s, maybe even the 50s when we get to the end of this game. Just not a lot of great defense being played and a whole bunch of scoring. But I think that the Chiefs will pull it out late in this one, and I expect them to win by probably a touchdown.
Deshaun Watson is awesome. And I also didn't think that it was possible the Chiefs could possibly lose a primetime game like that to the Colts. And for that reason, I believe that the Texans are going to pull off the big win. They're going to upset the Chiefs.
All right. Okay. That's all right. Then
I feel like you want to say something. You want to take a shot at me? Go right ahead.
I mean, Sean just mentioned how the Texans are win-loss, win-loss, win-loss.
Yeah, and
they
won
just
last
won.
week.
I definitely think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. If you are a betting person, you're going to take the over in this. But, I mean...
What are the chances of the Chiefs losing back-to-back home games? Right? Low.
Yeah.
Low. But I think it's going to happen.
All right.
I don't hate the pick. I think it'll be a very close game. I just think that the Chiefs are going to be mad about it last week, and they want to prove it this week that they're going to put up a whole bunch of points against a not great Texans defense.
I mean, the Colts won that game because it was a defensive game. The Texans need to win that game in a shootout, and
Colts had a great...
I'm taking Patrick Mahomes in a shootout 10 out of 10 times. Then we got the number 1 overall pick bowl as the Redskins go to Miami to take on the Dolphins. The winner is eliminated from the number 1 overall pick. The Dolphins are atrocious. The best thing they have going for them is strippers at their tailgate. The Redskins just fired Jay Gruden. I think there is a little bit of a rally, a comeback, a get behind the new coach, and they get the win in Miami.
Yeah, I don't think the Dolphins have enough talent to hang around really with anyone in this league. While I do think it will be close because both teams are pretty poor, the Redskins defense I think will just be too much for the Dolphins offense, and I expect them to win in a very ugly game. I'm going to pick the Skins.
Well, this is definitely the worst game I have to pick. Who's less terrible? You know, do you give it to Miami because they're at home? And obviously Washington is such a disaster and a dumpster fire that they let Jay Gruden go. Bill Callahan, interim coach. He's always been kind of a dope, I feel like. I don't know. I got Miami winning this one.
All right. I mean,
It may be the only one they win,
but
I think they're going to pull it out this week.
All right.
I mean, that would take Tua away from them. So I don't know. I think both these teams are looking to lose at this point, really.
Yeah.
I mean, get that number 1 overall pick.
I don't think much people will be viewing into this one this weekend.
No, definitely not America's game of the week.
No.
Then the Eagles go to Minnesota. Vikings obviously off the win in New Jersey against our New York Football Giants. I like the way they looked. I think they looked really well. I think they will carry that into home against the Eagles. Kirk Cousins, it took Adam Thielen going on Kirk Cousins' podcast to realize that Adam Thielen is a great wide receiver. So in honor of Leif Erikson Day today, I'm taking the Vikings at home.
I like the Vikings in this one. The Eagles' secondary isn't one of the best in the league, so I expect the Vikings to continue to attack the passing game like they did against the Giants and throw the ball downfield to Thielen and Diggs. Expect them to have big games. And I think the Eagles, coming off a win against the Jets, I think they might be feeling a little bit too high. Going into Minnesota, a tough place to play. So I think it will be a close game, but I think that the Vikings will continue the passing attack, and Dalvin Cook will will have a big game. So I think the Vikings win late in this one.
I'm so torn on this because I think to myself, the Vikings, obviously just beat down the Giants. What are the chances of them beating another NFC East team this week? To me, it just seems like they would beat a team that they're supposed to beat. Are the Eagles a good team? I've heard people argue that they're the best team in the NFC East. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really torn on this game. I hate the Eagles, but I really hate the Vikings too. So I'm going to pick the Eagles.
All right. The Eagles, that would also be... Oh, no, they played the Jets last week. My bad. I was thinking back-to-back NFC North wins, but...
Yeah, they beat the Packers week before that.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was on the road too, so they're used to the cold up there. So that might play a part in this game. Then, heading down south where it's going to be very hot, the Saints go to Jacksonville to take on Gardner Minshew and the Jaguars. The Saints are rolling with Teddy Bridgewater. I don't see the train stopping. Gardner Minshew's the man. He's all great and dandy. But, man, the Saints just look really good regardless of who their quarterback is. So I'm taking the Saints to get it done on the road.
Yeah, they opened up the playbook for Teddy last week a little bit. Starting to throw the ball more downfield, more than like the intermediate and short crossing route stuff. So I think that they'll open the playbook again this week against the Jaguars, taking advantage of a defense who has a bunch of playmakers, but they haven't been making a bunch of plays this season, giving up a lot of points. So, and the Saints quietly, with a lot of people talking about the Niners and the Seahawks, quietly, while Drew Brees has been hurt, still one of the best teams in the NFL. Defense has been playing great. Teddy's been doing his job. So I think that they go into Jacksonville and win actually big in this one.
Boy, I don't know. Jacksonville's a tough place to play. Minshew's looked really good. I think that team is kind of riding pretty high, but I've always liked Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know. I just feel like the Saints tend to blow these kinds of games. I don't think it's going to happen this time, though. So let's go with the Saints.
All right.
Had to talk myself through that one.
That is our first consensus pick of the night. Wow.
I picked my Suicide League game early this week. Who did I pick? No, I don't remember who I picked. There was to me there was only one real clear-cut game this week that I felt good about taking. I'm going to look it up as you continue on.
Was it the Patriots against...
I know, because I already took the Patriots.
Yeah. All right, and then...
Ravens. I took the Ravens.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Good thing you mentioned that, because the next game we're picking is the Bengals, another team in the Tua number one overall.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Goes to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, who are soaring high. I mean, Lamar Jackson is another one. We talked about Russell Wilson. Lamar Jackson's up there in the MVP talks as well. I expect Mark Ingram to have a big game this week too, run the ball on the Bengals, and the Ravens just get it done very easily at home.
Yeah, Lamar had a rough week last week, throwing for 3 interceptions. So I think that he bounces back this week against a very bad Bengals defense. So yeah, I'm with you, Jace. I think that the Ravens win huge in this one at home.
Yeah, if you're doing a triple parlay, make sure the Ravens are one of your teams this week. There just aren't a lot of games this week where you can look at and be like, oh, it's an easy one, other than the Giants-Patriots game, unless you're Jace and you're clearly on something at this point. But yeah, I think this is the easy lock of the week. I think the Ravens will destroy them.
Yeah. All right, and then, in my opinion, one of the toughest games to pick this week, the undefeated 49ers at the Los Angeles Rams. The Niners, they look so good. Granted, I mean, the best team they played is the Browns, and they haven't looked that well. But, I mean, the ability of the pressure they get with just 4, so they're going to have guys like Richard Sherman and everyone else drop back into pass coverage. That speaks volumes about what they're able to do defensively. But yeah, people like to talk about Kyle Shanahan and George Kittle and Jimmy Garoppolo, but the defense is what's winning them these games. The only thing with this is I just don't see the Niners being undefeated that much longer. I don't see them going 5-0. So I picked the Rams to get it done at home this week.
I agree with you on this one. Actually, I just don't see the Rams losing 3 games in a row. A team that is this good came off a rough loss against the Bucks and then should have beaten the Seahawks that missed that field goal late, so they had the opportunity. I think that coming home against the 49ers, a team that's very good, they're going to be very well prepared, I think. And I think that they win this game late, even though the 49ers, like you said, some old school football, running the ball a lot, playing a very good defense with just rushing 4 up front. But I think that the Rams come around this week and win a close one.
I've been burned by the Rams a lot this season. I got burned by Jared Goff in fantasy last week. He threw for 395 yards last week. Yeah. Just when I was thinking to myself, Goff's just not a very good quarterback. He went and did that to me. Are the 49ers for real? I think they are. And I think that they're going to go to 6-0. And I think they're going to beat the Rams. And I think the Rams are going to be kind of back to the drawing board trying to figure things out.
Okay. This one was the toughest one for me to pick. I mean, they both, like Sean said, the Rams going 3 in a row, losing streak, and the Niners have looked really good, but 5-0 is tough for them. I mean, I just can't see that happening. But, I mean, another tough game to pick. The Falcons at the Cardinals, both teams struggling. Obviously.
Tough to pick for different reasons.
Yes. I mean, I mentioned it last week. The Falcons, their offense hasn't been able to adapt ever since they went to the Super Bowl. It's the same stuff, and teams have figured it out. The Cardinals, they're just young. They got Kyler Murray, who's looked good for a rookie. But I like the Cardinals to get it done at home here against the struggling Falcons.
So while the Falcons have been so disappointing thus far this season, they're actually able to put some points on the board last week, and they have playmakers in the offense. And going against a very bad Cardinals defense without Patrick Peterson yet, who will come back next week from the suspension, I expect them to throw all over the Cardinals after being upset after a 1-4 start when they could have had some playoff aspirations earlier in the season. So I think that they're mad and that they're going to put up a whole bunch of points against the Cardinals, and I think that they actually ended up winning big this week.
I really do love Kyler Murray. I think he's going to be a big-time quarterback, but he's definitely having some growing pains. I think Peterson being out's bad. Larry Fitzgerald's it's been great watching him, and he's been, I think, great for young Kyler's development. But, I think the Falcons are going to get back on track. They have to. It's hard to believe that Matt Ryan and this team can be as bad as they've been. I feel like they're gonna step up their game this week and pull one out against the kid.
I think the determining factor for me, at least when me picking the Cardinals, is Chandler Jones and T-Sizzle Terrell Suggs against a struggling Falcons offensive line. I think they'll be able to get to Matt Ryan and cause some pressure. Then 2 big defensive teams. The Titans go 2 Mile High to take on the Broncos. This one's tough. I mentioned last week how the Titans have been doing really good on the road and not so good at home. But, I mean, talk about going on the road. Mile High Stadium is a completely different animal. I picked the Jags to get it done last week. I'm not making the same mistake this week. The Titans do not get it done, and the Broncos get another win at home.
We had mentioned last week that the Broncos were 0-4, but they had been in so many tight games down the stretch that they were able to stay in the games. There was just a late blow to the end that would make them lose the game just because they wouldn't be able to get a stop or they wouldn't be able to get the conversion. But I think that they showed last week that they could win games in this league. And I think that a struggling Titans team coming in, it's always hard to play at Mile High coming in. So I think that the Broncos will win this game in a very low-scoring game.
I picked the Broncos last week, didn't I?
I think you did.
Yeah.
Because I believe in Joe Flacco. And as luck would have it, I mixed up the time. I was supposed to meet some people for a non-football viewing at a bar, though, and I got there and I found out I was way earlier than I was supposed to be. And I'll tell you what, I got to watch Denver in action. They obviously outplayed the Chargers and then held on to win that game. Joe Flacco is too good of a quarterback for that team to have struggled as much as they did. I feel like the Broncos have kind of righted the ship. And you're right, it is hard to win at Mile High Stadium, especially when you're a no talent like Marcus Mariota. So, not going to happen. Flacco, 2 in a row.
All right. Then this one's easy. Another instant lock. Cowboys at Jets. Cowboys by 100.
Wait, Sam Darnold's going to be back. Still by 100, yeah? Okay, just checking.
Well, with Sam Darnold back, I think it changed it up a little bit. I think it will be a much tighter game because they will actually have a functioning offense, unlike they have had for the past couple of weeks. So I think, and the Cowboys, I'm just not sure about them. I'm not sure about Dak. I've never been sold on him as an elite quarterback in this league. I just don't think he doesn't really push the ball downfield. He doesn't advance the play of the players around him. So I think that they win this week against the Jets just because it's the Jets. But I don't know about this Cowboys team going forward, though. I really don't.
It's funny. The Cowboys Green Bay game was on. There was a lot of Cowboys fans in there. And here's what I did learn. They hate Jason Garrett's guts. Mm-hmm. They do not like that guy. Yeah. I'm starting to feel like the fans aren't starting to feel Dak Prescott either. That was a bad loss. A good NFL guy I know said to me, the Cowboys are a fraud. And I'm starting to think that's true. I think it's very fortunate for them that they're back at MetLife and that they're facing the Jets, because I think it's going to be a struggle for the Cowboys after this week. I think they got this one. I think Sam Darnold's been out for too long to be effective enough to win a game.
Yeah. The Cowboys, they always look really, really good against mediocre teams, but then just crap the bed when it comes to
their fan base. I know there's some Cowboy fans that are watching this. Their fan base tends to believe when they start beating up on mediocre teams that they're a Super Bowl team. Mm-hmm. Then they get punched in the face by a good team. Yeah. And you don't hear from your Cowboys friends for a couple of days.
Yeah, sounds just about like every year with the Cowboys.
Every year since 1993.
Yep.
All right, and then
America's team.
All right.
Then we got an interesting game. The Steelers at the Chargers. The Steelers, third string quarterback. I don't know his actual real name.
Devlin
I know
Hodges.
that they call him Duck.
Yeah, Duck.
His nickname's Duck. That's for a quarterback nickname Duck.
That's not good at all, is it?
Chargers at home. I mean, I expect Joey Bosa to have a nice feast of some duck and get it done. Prime time. Sunday night.
I wanted to pick the Steelers in this one just because the Chargers have been struggling so much. They really haven't looked great at all. Good for even that point. But if Mason Rudolph was playing, I would probably go ahead and pick the Steelers in the upset here on Sunday night. But with their third string quarterback, I just don't see them getting it done. And I think that the Chargers will win easily at home in the Sunday night game.
God, the Chargers have been so inconsistent this season. Mm-hmm. I watched a little bit of their game. You know, Phillip Rivers doesn't look. He looks like he's kind of. I don't want to say he's at Eli Manning level, but he's definitely not the quarterback he used to be. And there's got to be a lot of concern, I think, if you're a Chargers fan. But unfortunately, the Steelers are too banged up, too dysfunctional. I mean, there's way too much going on there for them to beat anybody who's not in the lower half of this league. So I think the Chargers do get it done. And it might be closer than it should be, but that's just a testament to how inconsistent the Chargers are.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers were able to make it a competitive game against the Ravens, ended up shooting themselves in the foot, choosing to kick in overtime.
I picked the Steelers. That hurt. Thought I had it that close.
But, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Maybe they'll get it done, but I don't think so.
No.
Then Monday Night Football, the Lions go to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. I'm really high on this Lions team. I think they're really good. Defense is solid. I like Matt Stafford as a QB. He's a solid QB. He's not an upper echelon guy. He's a upper middle guy, and I think he can get it done when he needs to. The Packers D has shown signs of being very, very good, but also some signs of not so good. So I don't really know where they're at there. Aaron Rodgers has seemed to pick it up these past couple games. It's going to be a tough one, but I'm going Lions D to get it in the end. Lions get the upset at Lambeau.
I'm with you on this one, actually. I think that coming off a bye week, the Lions got the week off after a heartbreaking loss to the Chiefs. I think that they come back prepared, ready to go. Their young players on offense, Kenny Galladay and Kerryon Johnson, have looked great so far to start the season. Really giving Matt Stafford a lot of help on that offense, and their defense has just been great so far as well. So, and the Packers, I usually wouldn't pick against them at Lambeau, but they've lost at Lambeau already this season to the Eagles. I don't think it happened. It's not going to happen 3 or 4 times during the season. That's just outrageous because they're great at Lambeau. But I do think that in the Monday night game that the Lions will go in there and they'll win a real tight one down to the end. And I'm going to pick Detroit.
I mean, Detroit is definitely, and I feel like Matt Stafford, what's he in his 25th year in the league now? I feel like, we've been waiting for a long time for this kid to develop, and I think he's really finally starting to be, and I think he's got the right playmakers around them. They've got a better defense than the Green Bay Packers. I understand why you guys are going Detroit here. There's a lot to like about the Lions, but Monday night at Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers?
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
Absolutely not. There's no chance. No chance. I will say this. Look, the Lions have played everybody tough this season. Yeah. Their only loss was to the
Chiefs.
The Chiefs. And that was a heck of a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll tell you this. I hate to live in a world where the Lions are a good team. It doesn't seem right to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem right. And if they were to win this game, that's the world we'd be in. And I just can't believe in that world.
All right. The Bills, Bears, Colts, and Raiders all have a bye this week. So, with our picks being in, let's talk some fantasy football. Last week was everyone was putting up fantasy football points. Deshaun Watson, 44. Aaron Jones, 48. Christian McCaffrey, 47. Will Fuller, 56. Amari Cooper, 42. Both George Kittle and Gerald Everett both had 20 for the tight ends. Michael Thomas as a flex, 41. And then the Eagles defense putting up 35. It was crazy week in fantasy.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that going into this week, a couple names that I'm looking at: Lamar Jackson with the 3 interception game. I expect going against bad secondary and the Bengals, I expect him to have a very good game. Also contribute with his legs. which he could. For running back, I like Sony Michel against the Giants. I expect the Patriots to have an early lead in this game, and the whole second quarter, I expect them to be running the ball a lot. And against this run defense, they showed you last week against Dalvin Cook. Luckily, the Giants will have the linebackers back, Tay Davis and Ogletree, but I still expect the Patriots to pound the rock a lot. I expect Sony Michel to have a big game. Tyler Lockett going against the Cleveland Browns. Their two top corners, Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams, still aren't back yet. They're still injured. And Tyler Lockett, ever since Doug Baldwin retired, has been Russ's favorite target. So I expect him to have a very big week in Cleveland. And for my tight end, a name you had mentioned for the performance last week, Gerald Everett, has had 2 big weeks the past 2 weeks. So I think in more of a high-scoring game, I expect between the Niners and Rams, I think that he'll have a big performance this week.
Let me tell you what I got cooking, because I made some moves this week, and I felt they were very necessary. Tevin Coleman, for one, coming off a really great game on Monday night. I've got him and Matt Breida, the other running back. Look, the Niners are a decent team, and we talked about how they've been winning the game with some old-school defense, pound of the football. They're getting carries on both of those guys. There's a lot to like there. I also picked up Gerald Everett from the Los Angeles Rams. Had 7 catches, 136 yards last week, 20.6 points. There's a good chance he might be available in your league. Yeah. But he's been getting a lot of targets. He could be a very good pickup. What else I got? Oh, also, you know what? Picked up Mohamed Sanu, has been so solid. 5 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown last week. He's been very consistent all season. Again, if you're looking for people who might be available at this point, right now I'm finding it's tough to sort of find some good skill guys that have consistently, again, you get your flash in the pans every week, but a guy has 8 catches this week, might have 2 next week. I'm looking for the consistency. Those are all pretty good, decent guys to take a look at.
Yeah, as far as the waiver wire, I mean, Will Fuller had a big game. I expect after a game like that, Deshaun Watson's looked for him a lot more. Miles Sanders, this is a guy that you keep hearing from Eagles that they're going to soon give this guy more touches, and he's going to end up eclipsing Jordan Howard. If you just want to get him, stash him, and then once eventually, if that does happen, I feel like he's a very valuable pick there. Also, if you're looking for a quarterback, Gardner Minshew, he's putting up fantasy points. He's really good fantasy wise, as well as on the field too. So look out for him. Who I expect to have a solid week. Kyler Murray against the Falcons. The Falcons defense is just not really that good. I mentioned it earlier. Mark Ingram against the Bengals. I feel like Lamar Jackson will put the points up early, and then Mark Ingram will grit it out and just run the clock out. Keenan Allen versus the Steelers. I think Phillip Rivers will get him involved a lot. And then if there were ever a week to pick the Redskins defense, it is this week at Miami. So that will be it for the show. Thank you guys for watching live on Facebook. Thank you for watching live on YouTube once we get the YouTube up and going. Jawing About the G-Men on YouTube. Make sure you check that out and subscribe.
Hey, we're also on the Twitter.
Yep. Jawing About G-Men.
Yeah.
Jawing About G-Men.
Hit us up. Let's talk.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let us know how I am a genius for picking the Giants over the Pats.
Somebody just messaged and asked if Jace thinks it's the year 2011.
I got a lot of Pats fans that are friends, and I just never let them live down the 2 Super Bowls. So
yeah, you can't.
You never can.
Going.
If they win 50-0 this week, the Super Bowls won't even matter anymore. You know what I mean? That's what I'm concerned about, is just an absolute, like Bill Belichick sometimes will serve up a beating to somebody that he thinks deserves it. And I just hope that's not us.
No, yeah, I think he has respect for the Giants coming from the from the Giants in the early 80s being a coach. So I hope he just takes the gas off the pedal just a little bit for this Giants defense.
All right, yeah, we shall see tomorrow night. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We hope to see you next week.